So, do you have regrets? I'm sure you do. I wanted to kick off a new series of vlogging and, kind of going through daily thoughts and everything like that. And, the number one thought that I had the past 24 hours or so was about regret. Regret in, starting business, regret in, handling social media, regret in, just building business in general. See, in the course of my, career now, since starting the business out, like Wazetter Inc. and everything of that, we've helped about a dozen companies now hit their first million. But it didn't really start that way. While we had been sitting there doing successful web campaigns for other companies, focusing on, their social media presence, their internal business workings, and everything of that nature to kind of bring it out in the digital realm. What ended up happening was we kept putting off our own stuff and kept putting off publishing on our own, or really getting into the whole promotion of the business. And it made me think of situations back in going back as far as 2010. If anybody asked me today, like what would be my single biggest business regret, is that I didn't start soon enough. I waited until the end of 2015 to actually start the business and get things going. I thought I needed all this extra experience. I remember going back and thinking, working for other people, like, oh, I need to go get sales experience. So, I went and did, door to door, and I did cold calling, and I did things like that. I did, management of a company. I remember, this journey kind of started when the recession started in 2008. And I was like, one person said to me, he's like, well, you should go out and get 10 years of experience in whatever it is that you want to do, and then, go start your business. And at the time, that seemed like really good advice, but looking back on it now, the challenges of growing and scaling a business and getting it off, the launch point wasn't any harder. It wasn't going to change. It was always going to be the same. Like, that initial struggle in like the first couple of years just to get things, kind of off the ground was not, whether it had been 2010 or 2015 didn't really matter. And I know that now, but I didn't know that then. And, I remember just listening to a lot of advice being like, okay, do the safe route, do the things like that. And I remember thinking, okay, I'll save money, I'll do that. And, of course, the saving money never happened to start the business. I still started the business with the same amount of cash flow that I would have had in 2008 to do it with. So it's just kind of, thinking about it, what stops us from really getting out there and starting? And usually it's just doubt, doubt in our capability, doubt in ourself. And, all I can really tell you, if you find yourself in that position, if you're thinking like, okay, what do I need to do to put off building something up or putting content out there? And if you think you need all these things and all this education, you really don't, because no matter what, you're going to fall flat on your face. I promise you will fall flat on your face no matter what. Doesn't matter how much experience is backing you, because there's fundamentally a difference between playing with somebody else's money and playing with your money in an investment in something that you're going out and doing. And that mental challenge sometimes clouds your vision in terms of what you need to do. When I've got an attachment to, like, oh, this might be the last $500, or, the 10 grand or whatever the number is, and I gotta, do all these things with it, you don't necessarily make decisions that are empirically better for your business and for your scaling and everything like that, because you're attached to that revenue. You're thinking of like a time period when maybe you struggled to bring in sales or something of that nature. And it's a real art that you can only really be learned in the trenches to kind of separate yourself from the immediate cash flow situation and look down the road and say, okay, this is going to get better, but I should, make this investment in time or money or whatever it is now in order to propel the business forward. And similarly, with things like YouTube and social media, like back in 2010, I helped another company, mind you, 2010, on Facebook get over 100,000 followers, get over, millions of views on YouTube. And in fact, I actually went and, did a little bit of a casual stuff of myself back then. And I'll show you on the screen now, like the original video that I went out and produced. And what you're looking at here is a video that was produced on an iPhone 4S, which those of you who remember having the 4S at the time, you're like, oh man, the camera's great. But, by modern standard, it's certainly not, fantastic. And this video is just literally sitting there, me, just trimming hair grass. It was for aquascaping. Aquascaping is one of my passions. I'll certainly be talking about that at some point, throughout the course of these videos. But 22 seconds, no audio production to it. This is blurry. Like, this doesn't even, go through and do anything. And yet, this has got almost 300,000 views. And yeah, this has been around for 8 years now. But, it really had like 150,000 pretty quick after it was released. And like this, kind of personal channel had, 267 subscribers, 57 comments, great engagement. I mean, just a little BS little video. Like, that has nothing to do with anything. And, I look at this now and I really sit there and I think, this is valuable. This is good stuff. Like, I should have just kept doing that and should have just kept publishing, even if it wasn't perfect quality, even if it wasn't like going, I should have been focusing on me first and my business first. But I didn't. And as a result, I never really followed up on that. And that kind of ends now. That's something that kind of went through all the way into, the end of the decade. Saying, okay, I'll prioritize, client production. I'll prioritize building their SEO, building their social media, because that's, what a good business client relationship does. And I wasn't serving anybody by doing that. I wasn't building more confidence in my capability to produce, and I wasn't taking advantage of the times. Now it's harder to get that, to get that traction on YouTube because there's more people on it. It's harder to build something on Facebook because there's more people using it, more businesses using it. People are, going through. So, my commitment is to radically publish, never stay still, to just continuously get it out there, even if it's not perfect, even if it's not, to production. If I look back on this video in 6 months and say that, oh man, I'm kind of embarrassed by the content production of that, then I consider that a victory. And I would encourage you in your business, whether you're thinking of starting, whether you're thinking of like trying to scale up your digital presence, focus on you first, because then you can better serve your clients and your customers. And that's my thought for today. We're sitting there, the first of a series. We'll see how it evolves and goes. That's my thought, and I can't think of a better way to launch it off. I'm Frank Wazzetter. I'll see you in the next one.